Take 2. The Boys, Season 4. Up next on Geek Out SA.
Do not attempt to adjust your YouTube video. We control the stream.
And welcome back to Geek Out SA. It's Saturday, and we're back. No technical difficulties today, hopefully. Hopefully.
I'm listening, and I can hear. So yeah, I had a few technical difficulties last week. First of all, I had kept us on mute for a really long time, not realizing it, because we have to mute during the intro. And then the batteries died on our main boxy thing. I don't know what it's called. Vincent knows all the names. And so I didn't know.
The receiver.
Yes, the receiver. Yeah. So I'm wearing the headphones this week so that if we are not...
And I think we changed out all the batteries. I changed it out on mine.
I changed the ones over here. So, okay. But if not, just so y'all know, I have a slew of batteries. Ta-da!
She has her own stash of batteries.
I do have my own stash of batteries, so we don't have to do the whole battery thing anymore. And I have the headphones on this week so I can hear. So The Boys.
Yeah, so this is we're into season 4. It's brutal as ever. So yeah, we're just trying to figure out what's going on with that, and then
well, and I feel,
well, not that we hate it.
No. Okay. Oh man. Okay, I groaned when I heard last week we were doing this show and this topic on the show, and now I'm even more groaning because now I have to do it twice. But it's one of those shows like South Park where you watch it and it's cool or funny or whatever, but you're ashamed that people know that you think that it's I guess maybe because I'm a school teacher, and so there's this stigma, I feel like, or maybe because I grew up in a super religious household, and so it's wanting to watch a show like this is very super cringe for me. I feel bad. I feel bad.
I'm not there with you.
No.
But then I could watch South Park. I cringe at stuff, but I'm not as...
I feel ashamed.
I don't feel ashamed by watching it, no.
Last week, when we were going to do this show, I was wearing a Mickey Mouse, a Disney shirt. It was Mickey and Friends, and I had to take it off before the show because it's not like I have a boys shirt because we try to wear a themed shirt or whatever. So it's not like I have a boys shirt, but I could not wear Mickey and talk about this topic. I don't know.
That would have been awesome if you did.
I'm a weirdo. Absolutely not. I can't.
Has nothing to do with each other, but that would have been cool. So, we're into season 4, and it looks like we had... So, if you look at it, it looks like we have different actors, but we don't have different actors.
I know. I was super confused by that. I had to Google it because I could have sworn that Mother's Milk was a totally different totally different actor. I was like, oh my God, why did they change him up? Maybe his contract didn't go through or whatever. I was I don't even like this guy as much, right? And then I look it up and it's the same
It's the same guy.
It's the same guy, and I'm like, how can he
if you queue up 2,
so
then
different?
You can kind of show the difference of what they look like from season 3 to season 4.
Yeah, so in the upper corner is what he looked like in season 3, and in the lower corner is what he looks like in season 4. And now that I'm looking at them together,
you can see it in the eyes.
I can see it in his eyes, but there was something, I don't know, there was something about him when he was a little bit heavier. He was a little more commanding. The beard, I think, gave him a presence. And they kind of explained it away by saying, oh, well, he's part of the CIA now, and it's more military focused, and he used to be a Marine.
They even referred to it, Frenchie says, you need to start eating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what happened is he's going through and he's doing the new health regimen.
Right.
I think he got. I think he got like what was it? A genetics test, and to see what kind of vitamins he needs.
Oh, really?
So he started doing that regimen and just started being healthier and got less of the bulk.
So
out.
Hollywood is like really ramping it up if now they're doing specific genetic testing to make sure that you're like getting on the health that you need.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting how important this is to them. That
the big thing, which I think they should have done, was left the beard.
Yeah, I think the beard made a difference. I think his bulk made a difference too. Like when you're in that kind of a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you need that bulk.
Yeah.
Like maybe instead of having him lose weight, just have him exercise his heft into more muscle so that he's more muscular. He said he wanted to look more like the graphic novel character, but I've not read the graphic novel, so I don't know what.
Well, like even with the graphic novel, Butcher doesn't have a beard.
Carl Urban just chooses that for himself, or
Well,
whoever is in charge of.
I don't mind it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like again, I haven't read the graphic novel, so I don't know from one to the other.
Yeah.
You know what he looks like. For me, Butcher is not even about the beard and everything. It's just about him being an a-hole.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you don't have a Butcher who's self-serving, feels like he knows what everybody needs and he's going to do it, will put anybody down who doesn't agree with him, potentially kill them, and then call them see you next Tuesday, then that's just Butcher, and that's okay. Like I don't know that the beard makes a difference in that type of character because he's just kind of a shit, right? But when you think of Mother's Milk,
it does something for the character in the show. I think it gives him a little more gravitas,
like a little gruffness, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, okay, I can see that. Yeah. So I can see that the beard, because definitely you wouldn't want to see the beard on Homelander.
No.
Like that would not work, right? It's just like you don't want to see a beard on Superman. Like it's just not something that works. You need that kind of baby face look, even though Homelander is definitely not the baby face guy, but he's like if the baby face guy was insane, was a psychopath.
Yeah.
So I think, having the beard on that character changes who that character is. But on Mother's Milk and on Butcher, they need this gruffness, they need this roughness, and yes, they have it with their words and their actions, but I think there's a certain visual, especially since we're watching them on the screen, that they need to have.
Right.
Yeah. So, I will say that I feel like this season is the worst one yet. Like, I feel like it's more brutal. It's rougher. I think a lot of it that bothers me is this notion this season that Homelander can tell them to do anything. And now we've watched episode 5 and we've seen them do it again, where basically Homelander's like, well, here's a bat, or use your fists and your feet, and basically
it's like
pound
he's
somebody.
using them like toys.
Right, and we know that that's how he feels about everybody.
Because I think the episode before we see that we come to understand why he is the way he is because of the testing that they did on him.
Right, like we knew, but they give us an even more of an in-depth look into what that was, because he goes there to make them pay.
Right.
But in that scene, like, yes, it's horrific what he does, but that's him being him, right? So this new understanding of his power, that everybody is a lackey to him, and he's going to use that to brutalize them. It's just another layer of psychosis. It's another layer of him being a psychopath, and it's another reason why Butcher and them need to get rid of him, especially what I see Ryan go through in this most recent episode.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really starting to... You were seeing Ryan question it in the episode before. Now he's not questioning it.
Right. He was kind of sticking to some of those moral imperatives that his mother, and even Butcher, even though Butcher's an asshole, like, he does have this morality, right? He does have this Dexter-esque kind of line or whatever, right? Like, right and wrong, who's the bad guy? And so, even though he had hurt Ryan's feelings and made him feel bad, and he was trying to rekindle that, and Ryan was still this sweet kid who could potentially become the Superman character, and then Homelander realizes, or maybe it's Sister Sage, Sister Sage, right? Because she's
Sister Sage, yeah.
Because she's smart. Maybe she coached Homelander into what to do to Ryan, to, like, I don't know, because he says...
But he doesn't seem to be all that bright.
Right, because Homelander's not that bright. So that's why I'm wondering, like, did she coach him into... Because he wants Ryan to be like him, right? He wants Ryan... I mean, he was super proud of Ryan when Ryan pushes the guy and splats him against the wall.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan is totally traumatized, and Homelander's like, yeah, bro, yeah, people are beneath us, like, crush them, you know? And so we see in this most recent episode that he gets underneath that and takes this desire that Ryan has to be a good person, and he twists it.
Yeah.
And that's painful to see. That's super painful to see.
Yeah, no, that was pretty bad.
And then I think the other thing that they did that paralleled with it is, if people are paying attention, they have some of the Gen V kids in this most recent episode, and they go in on doing what Homelander tells them, when, if you were watching Gen V, they weren't those people. They wouldn't have...
Well, at the end they were.
At the end they were.
At the end they were, yeah.
But at first they were questioning and stuff, and they might have potentially had some redeemable qualities. But we see in this most recent...
But we saw in episode 4, there was a reference to that before we even saw those two. That they were playing on the news.
Yeah. And we knew it was coming. Like, if you've watched Gen V, which is also very good, you had
also
to...
very gory.
Yeah. But you had to know that there was some kind of crossover going on, especially once you hear about the virus. You know...
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to watch Gen V to understand the virus, but it helps. It definitely helps to understand where it's going.
So when I'm looking at this, I see a lot of parallels what's happening right now in politics.
Oh, definitely.
It's even outright, they're calling Homelander a fascist. They're calling, in this episode, they're spray painting for Starlight, libtard.
Yep.
On there.
Yep.
So it's kind of like showing the spectrum of what's happening with extreme right and extreme left right now.
Right, and I feel like it's definitely a commentary on how those two sides are behaving towards one another. And they definitely have this new character. She's Firecracker or something like that.
Yeah.
She's super, Bible Belt, super Americana,
Super alt-right.
Yeah, she's super alt-right without them having to say it.
And the funny thing about that is she's the actress that plays her is complete opposite of that.
Oh, really?
She's a lesbian.
Oh, how funny.
Yeah.
Well, she plays it really well. Like, when Starlight punches her in the face, because I'm kind of a libtard, but not exactly. I'm more centrist, but anyway, I'm like rooting for Starlight because I'm like, this chick she's twisting what America is, and I feel like that's happening in this country right now, is twisting what America is supposed to be. And so here she is like twisting it, and I grew up in a super religious household, and I'm not religious, but I believe in people's rights and freedoms, but I don't believe in religion being used as a weapon.
Right.
And so she's using it as a weapon. She's using it to cultify people, basically, right? And to play on their fears and stuff, which we see in this country. We see that happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unfortunate to have to watch on a show, is to have our issues kind of right in front of our faces, in this.
Yeah, and then talking about Starlight, there seems to be a lot of stir about what's going on with the actress.
Well, she left social media.
She's back on. She's back on now, but she left for a while because she was just like, she had plastic surgery or...
Well, she kept getting attacked by people.
Yeah, she was kept getting attacked by people, and it could have been like the same thing as I think it was Alonzo, Mother's Milk.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She might be doing the same... a similar health regimen or something.
The thing that I feel, and obviously potentially they're doing this because of the stress that her character is supposed to be going through this season and everything. So she looks super sickly and skinny, like almost like she has an eating disorder.
Yeah.
Now, again, that may be something that they're doing to her as a human being out here for her job as the actress to be this character.
Well, because we find out that in the episode before this last episode is that she was like a pageant queen.
Yeah.
And maybe that's coming back up.
Well, and that's
her connection. Needed to be for that.
And that's her connection to Firecracker too, is because she was the pretty cute pageant queen and then really treated Firecracker like crap.
Yeah.
And called her out and made fun of her in front of the other girls and bullied her basically. And so Firecracker can't let that go. So she's got a personal vendetta against Starlight. But to me, the actress, and
then we actually have a cue up of what the two look like. Huh?
Cue up
3?
Yeah,
it's 3.
Yeah. So you can see in the upper again is from the previous seasons, and she looks less gaunt, right? And that's why they're saying she got plastic surgery, is her cheeks look higher. Her nose looks thinner.
Well, you can do that with makeup.
You can't, and that's what she's claiming, is that it's makeup. To me, it still looks like she's had quite a bit of weight change. She was pretty skinny to begin with. And then, of course, because she has weight change, now they're saying, too, that she was, like, on Ozempic, or she had liposuction, or whatever. I mean, she's just a teeny tiny person. Anyway, she always was. I think that they're trying to make her character look stressed out and messed up and everything. So it's a
because
choice.
there's a lot to go through when you're basically you're a renegade soup against the
only
Vought
sane
soups.
soup in all of them, and she's not even
not the
sane.
only sane soup, but
the only one who's trying to do right by the people.
In the eyes of the people.
Yeah. She means well. But she's just one person fighting against all of these other soups. Although she may not be just one person fighting for very long.
Right.
Because they're trying to turn someone to their side. But it's scary. Like, I actually have no love for A-Train. I don't hate him either, but I have no love for him. And I'm actually really scared, like, if Homelander finds out that he's trying to turn on them, like, what is going to happen to this kid? Because Homelander has gotten to be so intense and so cruel and so horrific. Like, I
don't know if Homelander is as fast as A-Train. We haven't seen a thing on speed with
With Homelander.
Homelander.
But that's the thing, is he doesn't even have to. A lot of the times he's just talking to people calmly, and then he just turns around with that laser vision or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and he just explodes your head or whatever, or zaps through your, no square. That one really made you cringe. I know it did. You were not happy.
No.
I don't know. I think of all the ones this season, the burning the guy alive in the thing was the worst one. But then I feel terrible, but you feel for Homelander.
Yeah.
When you think of him being a child and being put in that thing, and yes, he regenerates, and yes, but he tells them, he's like, just because I had those powers, it still really hurt.
Yeah.
Like, they burn his skin off in this, like, heat box. Well, yeah, of course he's going crazy. They've been torturing him all these years as a child. Well, no wonder there's something wrong.
Keeping
with
him locked up all the time. Yeah. I mean, that'll do that to anyone.
The other thing that I saw coming and I knew was going to happen, but was really, really kind of sad. I absolutely love Simon Pegg. I love Simon Pegg. I love Shaun of the Dead. I love Hot Fuzz. I loved him in Star Trek as Scotty. Like, I love Simon Pegg. So we know that he's there in the coma, and we're like, okay, well, he's Simon Pegg. He's not going to be in a coma forever. And we know Howie's history. So we're like, obviously he's going to use Compound V to try to do something to bring his dad back, right? So we're not surprised by any of that storyline. What we're surprised in is what happens to Simon Pegg, right? Because you don't know. Like, you don't know what Compound V is going to do, because it's different for all these
for
people.
everybody.
Yeah. So then they fool us. Because then at first it's like, oh, he's fine. He's like, he's got maybe a little dementia or something. It's not a problem. It's okay. Wait, he's missing. What's going on? Wait, he's holding somebody's heart in his hand. Kalema. Oh my God, he's phased through a person. He's standing in the middle of them in a pile of their guts. It got pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I liked that story arc because they realized that that's really bad, and that's not the person that he would want to be. And so they let him go. And so I thought that was...
This is going to be more of a contrast from last season, because last season, Hughie got out of hand using the Temp V. And then towards the end, he started to realize, I can't do this anymore. And he's kind of like following through with that in this season by not touching the stuff at all.
Well, and he's normally the voice of reason.
Right.
But then, because of what Firecracker says, we find out that he and Starlight have made the choice to have an abortion, which is a big choice. It's weighing on both of them. His dad is in the hospital with a coma, so he's just not there. So their voice of reason is gone. Their only soup is under a lot of stress. Their butcher, who's just butcher, is dying of cancer, and God knows what else is crawling underneath his skin, right?
Well, we see what it's going to be.
What it's going to be, but...
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Well, but we see it in a trailer, not... Right?
No. We saw it in the... it came out of one of the chickens. It's like an entity crawling around. You don't remember that?
No, I guess I missed that.
Yeah, no, it jumped out of the chickens.
I saw the
'cause you're
killer.
like,
I
it's
saw the
probably
killer chickens. Like, I
Right.
was watching all of that because it
But
was very...
once they finally killed one of them,
The thing came out of
something
it.
came out of it. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I missed that part. Like, I just thought it was blood. It happened real fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss things sometimes when they happen really fast. But
And
speaking
Butcher,
of...
like, kills it.
kills it. Speaking of the chickens, you got to admit, all of that was horribly hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, best part is the freaking weird vampire sheep or whatever.
The flying sheep, yeah.
Flying sheep with the teeth. With the teeth. And then at the end, when the virus kicks in, laughing. Vincent loves anything where there's a ridiculous amount of vomit. Like, ridiculous amount of vomit. I don't know if it came from Family Guy.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Yeah. When they have that episode and they're all throwing up and they're like falling in each other's vomit. So here's this sheep and he's just like, you know, see, he's doing it now. Like, he can't help it. So we're watching it in there. And I was like, what is that bull gonna do? What is that bull gonna do? And then here comes the sheep. So that was pretty funny. I actually enjoyed that part. I laughed a lot.
Yeah.
So there are some gruesome parts, I guess, that are kind of
funny.
Anakin, a big good boy.
What are your thoughts on Hugh's mom now that she's back? What is that? How is that going to change things?
I don't know. I don't know where they're trying to go with this, right?
I don't either. I was just like, what is that going to do? Is it going to be good for Hughie? Or is it going to be bad?
I mean, he's going to have to come to terms with it, which he's usually pretty good at doing. And now that his dad is dead, she's the only parent he has left, right? So he's going to have to kind of lean on her and stuff. And especially because his dad left the medical power of attorney with her rather than leaving it with him. And before Simon Pegg kind of goes crazy because of the V, he tells him like why, you know, and his dad has forgiven her for all of her transgressions. So I feel like maybe she'll be something that centers him a little bit and gets him back on that track of being, he's kind of like their Jiminy, he's the Jiminy Cricket to all of their Pinocchio, like he's their little conscience or whatever. And we saw a departure from that for him when he was taking the V and he wanted, and we've seen in the trailer that he does say something about like the way they need to fight this is with their humanity.
And we even have that if you haven't seen that.
Oh,
so let's
go ahead and let's cue that up. Yeah.
I look back at my life, and all I see are the messes I made. And I ain't got time to fix it. I can do one thing right with the time I got left. I can't do it alone. I can't do it without you. If you thought things had changed.
This country is corrupt beyond repair, so we gotta save it.
Friends, you better think again.
It's not gonna be easy. We'll have to do some terrible things.
For the greater good.
You'll no longer be beloved celebrities.
But with good in the fewest of ways.
You will be wrathful gods. Show me a little wrath.
That doesn't sound good, Ashley.
Oh, yeah, no shit, Ashley.
Sorry, Ashley.
The whole world is about to burn.
We need someone like you, Billy, before the soups start rounding us up and dumping us off in camps.
I have found the answer to all our prayers. A virus that kills soups.
This is insane and desperate, even for you.
Well, insanely desperate's where we are, don't you think, love?
Let's go. Chop chop, motherfuckers.
This is a biblical war of good versus evil. I'm declaring hunting season on Starlighters.
I can't believe this is fucking happening to me again.
Look, we've all done bad shit. What's insane is that our solution to every problem is murder. Violence isn't brave.
Violence is power.
That's a spirit, champ. Who wants a creamy, delicious milkshake?
If we're ever gonna win against monsters, we need to start acting human.
fucking welcome.
Yeah, Vince. So
Yeah.
So yeah, he tells him, like, you know, we are gonna have to be human. So we'll see how that goes. I will say that I think that we're seeing this side of the Deep that I didn't think was there. I thought that he was always going to be like comic relief, that he was always going to be the one who was having relations with sea creatures in a van. And he is still a tool. He's definitely still Homelander's tool, but something is changing in him. And you see it in the trailer, where he talks about being gods, and you've seen it in the few episodes that we've seen so far. Like, he's willing to cross every line to do whatever it is that Homelander wants him to do, and he's starting to like it. Right? Wouldn't you say?
I don't know if he likes it.
You don't think so?
I think he
does.
wants to be accepted, and he'll do anything to be accepted. When he was asked to do, when you see him with the bat,
he's a little hesitant there, but in this last episode, before they beat that guy to death, he leans in on that guy, and he says, and I'm gonna have my way with your wife tonight too. And you see this kind of change in his demeanor. I think.
But that's the doing of Sister Sage, though, and what she was telling him.
Oh, she's definitely pushing him. Like, she has all her hands in all of their, you know, she's the little puppet master.
And what are your thoughts on Kessler?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Yeah.
Don't tell Vince, but I think he's really hot. I always liked him when he was in ER. So hot. And even as Negan, who's a terrible person. No, I think that, you know, he's an interesting addition. I don't know how much he's giving yet to the storyline. Like, he's kind of pushing Butcher's buttons. But
yeah, and he's kind of like a background character, but do you think he's going to offer a little more in the episodes to come?
Well, I'm just waiting to see. I'm thinking he's going to be more of like, if you get the supplies, I have the scientists and the money to make the virus happen. You know, he's going to be that person on the back end he's going to be supplying stuff, because he does supply Butcher with something so that Butcher can knock Ryan out so that they can take Ryan. But then Butcher decides not to do it, because then he realizes that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character is going to take Ryan and turn him into a weapon.
Right.
For good, but he's still going to be a weapon, and that's not what Butcher wants for him. He just wants him to get to be a kid, you know. So we know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character has resources, and he has stuff that will work. What he doesn't have is something that will work on Homelander. That's what none of them have still. So it's going to take all of them coming together, but what his part is going to be in it, I think, is just going to be like, hey, I have all this money, hey, I have all these resources, I'm just going to throw it all at you and hope that it sticks and hopes that you can use it. And he's just going to keep pushing Butcher's buttons until Butcher does something crazy to try to go after Homelander or whatever. I don't know.
He's on borrowed time, though, Butcher.
Well, yeah, with the cancer, unless, I mean, he's Butcher, so is something going to happen to where he beats the cancer or something? Who knows?
Well, it's not cancer.
Right, it's the whatever the thing is. Yeah. So is he going to morph into this thing? I don't know. It's just going to crawl out of him like an alien.
I don't know, because I haven't read the graphic novel for that.
Yeah. So there's this one part in the trailer, and again, I feel really bad that I think that this is funny, but I really do think it's funny. So Frenchie has a drug problem, okay? We all know that he has a drug problem. His drug problem is ramping up because he falls in love with this guy that we find out that he's the one who killed the guy's family. It's a whole thing. So if you look in the trailer, you see Kimiko, I think is her name.
Kimiko.
And she's killing people like she does. But instead of blood and stuff, you just see all these bubbles coming out, and there's all this like happy music and stuff. So she tries to she does get Frenchie to go with her, but he is so blasted on drugs, he can't even help her. Like, he's wandering around, he sees the bubbles, he sees like all the psychedelic stuff, and they did that scene really well, I thought, because you get the view of both of them.
Yeah.
So you're like, blood and guts and right? And then you're all bubbles, And so I thought they like kind of overlapped those together really well.
Yeah.
So it was like gory but funny, which again, I'm ashamed, but it was like really funny. But then we see in this episode, they haven't really been able to count on Frenchie. And so in this one, he walks into a police station and tries to turn himself in.
Right.
But this is what I didn't have a chance to research. Does he have a superpower of like, he's like Dorian Gray or something? Like he can stay young forever? Because if he's the one who killed the young man's family, right? Mm-hmm. But the young man is now his age, but he doesn't look like he's aged from when he killed the guy's family, and he killed his family when he was a kid. So I don't know if Frenchie has like powers, like he's been alive for a really long time and killed a bunch of people in that time frame. That's something I need to look up, because that wasn't something that I was aware of or sure about. So I'm wondering what that has. You know what I'm saying?
But was he like a really small?
Yeah, the one that was his boyfriend for a little bit, he was a kid when his family gets killed.
Yeah, but how old was the kid?
Like a teenager.
Yeah, it was a teenager, and now he's, what's like 10 years?
Yeah. So you think maybe I'm just reading too much into it? Oh, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he's just a lot older than him.
Oh, maybe. And it's just the actor doesn't look like it. Could be, but I'm going to overanalyze that, and I'll get back to you. What was I going to ask you? I just lost my train of thought. The dog licked my leg, and it just took me out of my train of thought. So since you don't feel bad, like, watching this show the way I do, what is your kind of take from the whole thing? Like, do you see it more as a comedy? Because we've got a lot of these shows with these like anti-heroes, right?
Right.
What was the one with John Cena? It was
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Mm-hmm. That one's kind of on the lines of The Boy, but not exactly The Boys. You know what I mean? He's not as brutal. He's kind of an anti-hero. It's where I'm wearing the Punisher shirt, because again, like an anti-hero, Deadpool, kind of like an anti-hero. This is crossing way over the line of anti-hero. It goes really far. So what are your thoughts on the way they do this?
I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it. I like that. I like the parallel that we see with current events now. I like bringing the light to that. So, and it's funny. The people, who are you, when you're watching this, who are you rooting for when you watch it?
Yeah.
The boys. You're rooting for the boys. But is everybody rooting for the boys?
No, absolutely not.
But are they? I don't know. It's meant for them to be the protagonists.
Well, so here's something that I read, because you had told me, well, okay, so first I saw this Instagram post where it's Anthony Starr, I think, is the actor who plays Homelander. So he's afraid of heights. So they have him strapped in the gear because they've got to take him up, you know, to do some of the shots. And he's talking to them, and he sounds like Butcher because he's calling him the C word and all this kind of stuff, and he's all F me and all this stuff. But then you had told me that he's not very nice, which I wasn't shocked because I think most actors and actresses are kind of poop heads. And so I was like...
Depends on the ones. I mean,
most of them.
There's some that are really cool. Really cool.
So most of them. So then I wanted to look up, like, was there something specific that he had done or whatever that made people feel this way about him? Well, I saw that he was at, like, a comic convention. Mm-hmm. And he went up on stage and he was like, there are these people that come up to me and talk to me about Homelander and want to know if I'm like him. And they, like, idolize him or whatever. And he's like, what the F is wrong with you? Like, that is not the point of this. He is horrific. Like, you're not supposed to idolize him. Like, you're supposed to hate him. Like, you're not supposed to want to be him. He literally says that
in the graphic novel, he's not as bad as he is in the show. He does do, like, messed up stuff in there. But he's relatively, like, good. Relatively.
I don't know, because I've only seen the show. So for me, like, but I think that's what the actor was saying is y'all have only probably, like, some of them from the comic convention probably have read the graphic novel, but a lot of people have just seen what they see on TV, right? Mm-hmm. So he's like, why would you idolize this character? Like, why would you think that this character has any, like, why would you want to be like him? Like, he thinks all people are beneath him. He wants to crush them. Like, he's talked about them basically being puppets. He's a psychopath, like, you know. But I don't think the point of it is to idolize either side, if that makes any sense. I think that the whole point of it is...
how do we get in the center? How do we get in the middle?
Yeah, like, how do we find...
common ground.
A common ground. How do we see people as having value? Because they speak to that also with the way they treat Sister Sage and A-Train on that side. And they basically... this is terrible that I'm going to say this out loud. But really, in this episode, they show how the Seven and how that corporation bought basically says that they're the token black people.
Yeah.
And like, oh, well, we're going to change the viewing experience for the black viewers. So instead of seeing a beer, they see like peach bourbon or something, you know. And Sister Sage and A-Train are like... And then we see in a couple of episodes before, A-Train complains about the movie that they're making about his life or whatever, because he's like, this is stupid. This is not like, I didn't come from the streets, like all of this stereotypical, you know, poor black kid stuff or whatever. He's like, this is not who I am. And so I think that's another, I feel like there's a lot of commentary in this show about the worst in humanity on both sides, right? And I think that's, you're a Superman guy. Right. If people don't know, Vince is a Superman guy. But I think that that's the difference when people complain about Superman and, oh, he busted up that town, or, oh, he did that, or whatever. But that's not his intent. Right. He's trying to do good, and this is kind of some peripheral damage that he doesn't mean to happen. With Homelander, he means for all the peripheral damage to happen. He's joyful about it and he wants it to happen. So I think that's where they do a really good job, horrible job, I don't know, of making us see this like the worst in people. You know what I'm saying? And maybe making us take a lens to how we behave, you know, especially when they're showing the two sides of the political coin. Right. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm very cringy to watch it, but I'm going to keep watching it. So.
I like it, and if you should like it too if you're into that kind of stuff. I've liked it from the beginning. Yes, there are cringy parts, that I have to kind of like, they actually did that? Like Gen V was, Gen V was like, felt almost worse to me. But
I think that's because they're kids.
yeah, I think it is because they're kids or young adults.
Well, we're old, so we think of them as kids still.
But that was it. That was season 4 of The Boys to date. But thanks for checking us out. Had a lot of fun. If you haven't clicked on that subscribe button, please click on that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so the next time we go live, you know. But thanks again for checking us out. I'm Vince.
I don't know what button I'm pushing. I'm calling
Geek out,
essay.
essay.